All right, welcome back, everybody, to the third part of our three-part series looking at the lists for the Oldhammer tournament. Alex and Alasdair joining me again to run through the list. We've got about 9 lists left, and there's a good variety again. So we'll just get straight away into it because the first list is my list. And everybody, warm up your rotten tomatoes because this I'm sure everyone will hate. I already copped so much for Wood Elves, and this is about as close as you can get to the worst type of Wood Elves. But I have a Spellweaver level 3, Ruby Ring, Oaken Stave, Battle Magic. Spellslinger level 2 on a Steed, running Battle Magic and Lore Familiar, a Glade Captain BSB on a Great Stag, Helm of the Hunt, Befuddlement of Mischiefs, 2 units of 5 Glade Guards with Poison, Deepwood Scouts with Poison, Glade Riders with Poison, and the banner that gives you ignores cover. 2 units of Sisters of the Thorn, 7 Wild Riders with the banner, the Vanguard banner, and another unit of 8 Deepwood Scouts. So for anyone who's not familiar with Wood Elf competitive play, obviously Pillar Spam has garnered a lot of attention, and this is basically a slightly watered down version of that list. No dragon and only 2 units of sisters. You can take 3 at this point's cost. I don't have 3. I have to paint my second unit, so I'm feeling bad with every stroke. Because it's quite an unsocial way to play. Hide, cast pillar, shoot poison, and hopefully they don't catch you. I've played both of you with variants of this list. So uh, Alex, why don't we go with you? I played with you against you in the 1,500 point tournament with a version of this, pretty much of
Yeah,
this list with a couple more Wild Riders, the BSB, and another unit of Sisters. What's your take?
I would have bet money that there were words after that event to say, I'm not going to play Pillar Spam again. It's just not how Wood
Check
Elves
the
play.
tape. I don't
Maybe I
think that
forgot.
exists.
Maybe I forgot. Yeah,
This
I might have
YouTube thing
misremembered.
isn't timeless, is it?
Now, the big thing for me here is you've gone poison on almost
Yeah,
all the arrows. So including the sisters, they have poison naturally, right?
they do.
So what's
AP1 poison.
your why have you gone off the AP based shooting?
It's probably honestly just ease of play. It's just another step,
It
and
works against everything, so
it
it's.
works. It's just across the board good, and it's a lot easier to play. It's a lot easier for people to remember too, including myself.
Let's
Um,
be honest, with 4 pillars, I'm not sure you need a lot of AP shooting
yeah,
with that many vortexes bouncing between people's units. Like, I mean, I've been on the receiving end of the pillars against my toughness 3 and even toughness 4 cavalry, and it makes an enormous difference. Just those consistent wounds on each player's turn, bouncing and going back and forth. And when you've got multiples of them, if you're keeping your spellcasters out of range, then there's really nothing that people can do about it, which is essentially what this particular style of play is doing. So I'm not sure you're going to win yourself a terrible amount of friends, but it's going to be an exercise in interesting control and seeing sort of what you can do. You are the blue player
yeah,
at this
Blue
point.
black. Yeah.
You are blue black control removal. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how you go. You did very
yeah,
well in the warm-up tournament, and this is an amplification of the strengths of the list that you took previously. So, yeah, it'll be good. I
yeah.
will. I will just. I
Yeah,
will just
this is
say,
harder.
yeah, we have. I haven't said before, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to come along to this one, and it's maybe this list in particular makes me glad that I'm
Oh,
not. So,
give me a break. Jeez, look, I'll rise to the defense of this list because I know it's got a
It
very bad
dies very
reputation.
easily.
It does die very easily, and it's died very easily under my generalship. I am very much catchable and killable, and there's really not a very good way, in my opinion. I look, this is the second tournament. I'm still in the phase that I want to do well at tournaments, and this
yeah,
is a way to do well in it. I think
yeah,
there's hard lists in this tournament, and this is Wood Elves' hard list, and I'm bringing it.
definitely.
So I'll say it again, Alex. This might be the last time. Might be the
Look,
last time.
I've said this before, right? With 30 players, you might have a very hard list. There's a couple of kind of like tier ones, let's call it that. And you can literally go the whole event and never run into this.
Mm.
And, there's going to be a number of people on 2 to 3 wins up in the top bracket. And just because you're winning doesn't mean you're going to even podium potentially
Mhm.
mathematically. You need to be winning big. So I agree with you, Paddy, that if you're going to come and you're going to try and play well, unfortunately, you do have to bring a hard list because
Yeah.
you need to get those major wins to get to get a placing, a guaranteed placing in this event. And if it grows even further, we might get that squeeze a bit more. But you know what I just love about the sisters? I always thought it was a magic missile. It's any spell
It
in
is.
Battle Magic, isn't it? So you can even
And
pick Arcane
elementalism.
Urgency, could you?
You could. What I tend to do, and I even took it against in Alasdair's game, I took Plague of Rust, and that
Mm,
is
Yeah,
like the flexibility of the unit is ridiculous, and it's really
for
hard
sure.
not to
you
take
don't even
them.
need Arcane Bookings then.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough about me. Let's move on to the second most hated person at the tournament. Paul running his Bretonnian
Oh,
exiles. Did either of you
please.
play him? I'm not sure if you did.
Yeah,
Alistair
Oh, you
did.
did, Alasdair, of course.
in the last
I'm yet
old
to play
hammer,
Bretonnians.
yeah, in the last old hammer, we were in the final, Paul and I together
Yeah,
when
that was the
it
grand
was
final.
yes, Dragon versus Super Baron.
Why don't you run us
And
through the list then, Alasdair? You've got some experience.
for sure, I mean, it looks familiar with one glaring change. He's decided that he needs some magic defense this time around. So, Baron, Honor Royal Pegasus, Virtue of Heroism, so Killing Blow, Monster Slaying Blow, Grommel Great Helm to improve his arm save to a 2+, and reroll those ones, and Syrian's Locket in there as well. The Outcast Wizard, so the magic defense. He's learned. He's taking dark magic, which is very interesting. I'd be curious to see whether he's planning on putting frenzy on one of those Pegasus.
100%.
Yeah, those Pegasus
Yep.
Knights to get them in. Furious Charge plus Frenzy. That's
And
going to
Hatred.
be hitting extremely hard with a very long charge. The Paladin in there as well. Exile's Vow, Virtue of Knightly Temper, Frontier Axe. Gauntlet of the Duel can't be denied when challenging. Obviously, another really strong pick with the additional attacks there and Hatred. And then a second Paladin with the Falcon Horn of Friedman built in. So supporting characters all on Pegasi, with the exception, of course, of the Wizard, but definitely, again, looking towards those special choices to make all the difference. But Mounted Knights of the Realming Core, a couple of units of those, a 10 knight unit and a 5 knight unit, and then some peasant bowmen for the obligatory longbow shooting to sit on a hill and do what they need to in skirmish. And then we've got those two big units that we're familiar with, that Paul's runs before, of Pegasus Knights. So Banner of the Zealous Knight, which I'm not sure what the Zealous Knight
That's
does.
the
Is that the
Vanguard.
Vanguard
It's
banner?
Vanguard, yeah.
Yeah. So you'll see that. You'll see them shooting 10 inches up into your face very quickly, which, quite frankly, I mean, the Exiles need it, right? They don't start with a ward save. They need to overrun or wipe out something in order to get that ward save on them. So I think you'll be looking for quick charges off that. The supporting cast of characters, the Baron and the two Paladins, is going to mean that if he does decide to stick them all in one unit, that unit's going to be extraordinarily hard to kill. And if he gets that frenzy spell off on it, I mean, God help anything that stands in its way.
Yeah.
Does
Makes
the
things go a
lance
little better.
formation, does Frenzy work on a lance formation supporting attacks? I don't know what the wording is on there. If it's a supporting
Not
attack, it
sure.
doesn't.
No, not if it's a supporting attack, because
I think
you're
I think
one.
they're considered to be in the fighting rank, the
Okay.
guys on the outside of the
That could
ranks.
be the gimme that he's going for, right? And I must say, I feel like he already had a pretty intense list at the last event,
Hmm.
and so this is more streamlined.
Mm.
My gut feel is the frenzy and hatred, which you get from Battle Lust, is going to go on the secondary, like the offshoot unit. So he's got
Mm.
two massive threats rolling around the board.
Mm.
Yeah, Exiles is full on. Again, if people aren't plugged into the meta, this is on there with Pillar Spam with one of the more hated lists just because of its intense power early. Paul's done really well at all the tournaments, or at least with
Yeah.
this list. he did well at the 2+ warm-up event as well. So I'm sure he'll do
Yep.
well again.
And you're right,
Um,
Paddy. It is fighting rank for the
fighting
Lights
rank.
formation. So that's probably a lot of Knights, turning
Yeah.
Knights of the Realm into effective hatred frenzy.
Yeah, very strong.
Another strong player, strong list. Pete running his Lizardmen. He won the 2+ warm-up event. He has a Scarvet on a Carnosaur with a 5+ ward. He has a Skink Chief on a Pterodon with a Ruby Ring. He has a Skink Priest on an Ancient Steg running Battle Magic with a 5+ ward. With the Engine of the Gods, which is important. Obligatory Saurus Warriors, Skinks, Temple Guard, Bastillodon, Ancient Stegodon with Engine of the Gods. So this list has the potential for Fireball, 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 Roller Fireball. I played Pete on second top table at our 2+ event. Fireball is like my worst nightmare.
Mm.
And he killed my dragon with it, albeit just a single save dragon. But I took 8 of the 9 wounds from Fireball. It's a
For
lot.
sure.
It's a shorter range, um, but it's a lot of pressure. The Skinks are Skinks, and they're one of my, I think, most efficient units in the game. And I really have a soft spot for Lizardmen. Pete's a really lovely dude
Yep.
as well, and he's new to the scene as well, but he's
First
doing well.
event, I feel, was his 2+, and he won it
Yes.
with
Yeah,
with this list. And I feel like the Western Sydney Wargamer theme is Legacy Armies for the win. We had
Yeah.
Dark Elves first time, Dark Elves second time, Lizardmen at the 2+ event. Who knows what we're going to see here? Maybe
Chaos
Pete will take it
Dwarf.
out. He's
Yeah,
straight up
good.
the top ranked Lizardman player in the country. But yeah, I love this list. You'll be praying that you brought Magic Resist against this as well. It's a travesty that Stegodons don't have AP on their impact hits. I think we brought it up before. Just cannot get over that.
I think it's the real power and the real strength. I mean, talk about pillar spam. Pillar's not going to help you all that much against
It didn't.
these significantly tough behemoths, and I think that's a really interesting thing to look at. Where there's a lot of models on the field. There's a lot of skinks. They're super cheap, but the performance is going to come from those relatively short range bounce spells, which are still very strong. And he's just going to hit you. He's going to saturate you with those fireballs, much as you got saturated with fireballs. I mean, it's got a laser focus in terms of its intent, and I wonder whether there's that many lists which will be able to realistically deal with it. Because even if you want to stop the fireballs, you've got to get in with these big monsters. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether, I mean, maybe the Bretonnians with monster slaying blow will be able to just roll through them, but at the same time, you still got to chew through all of this infantry to even get to the monsters in the first place.
Yeah, it's a strong list. It's brother Alex is a Lizardmen player, and that was the first Lizardmen list I played against, pretty much with a slant in there, and it's really impressive. But another Peter. So we got Beastmen here making an appearance. First Beastmen list of the tournament, I think.
This is my favorite list.
Yeah, this is hectic.
Maybe Zeke,
Alex,
maybe up there with Zeke's.
why don't you take us through
Um,
it then?
I am openly and have been saying to your brother that if Minotaurs make a return in the Arcane Journal, I'm 100% going all in on them as a faction. This is entirely what I would try to run myself. The Doom Ball is a beast. He's sitting there, heavy armor, Pelt of the Dark Young, and Gnarled Hide that gives him at 3+ save or 2+ save, I believe, with the Talisman of Protection for the 5+ board save. Horn of the First Beast allows him to shoot out his leadership for Primal Fury tests, which is great, overruling the ruling on their
Mm-hmm.
own leadership.
Mm-hmm.
How many Razor Gores we got here? 2, 4, 6,
11, I
8,
think.
11 Razor Gores. And I think the biggest takeaway for what Alex Brown had at the 2+ event was a single Razor Gore was good, but not effective enough in hitting something. So going to 2 is great because they have a large frontage. So going to 3 is probably starting to reduce its effectiveness on terms of impact against smaller units. So two's great. He's just going to flood the field, but the
Mm,
Minotaur herd is just going to be sitting there. That's 5 Minotaurs with Motley Crew. Actually, no, he's not running Motley Crew. He's all got them as great weapons, which is just going to charge up the center with the two Gorgons. So this is a bit of a meme list, uh, Peter. So I love it. It's going to come running at you. It's got no magic at all, which is surprising because normally people go the Hag Tree Fetish and Summon, but you can't have a Doom Bull and the Great Bray Shaman
yeah,
within because they're 1 per 1,000
yeah.
on either choice. So not even a level 2 in this list at all with the Hag Tree Fetish, which is an interesting pick. So I hope he really does well.
Yeah, I think a lot of Peter's games may come down to whether or not people are prepared to deal with six different groupings of seven different groupings of Razorgore herds. Um, Six. And then, they move so fast. They're toughness 5 with 3 wounds each. They don't have saves, but I don't think it necessarily matters given how quickly they can.
Toughness 5.
Yeah, toughness 5 with 3 wounds, but they can move so quickly that you're going to get hit by this wave of Razorgores that you just have to deal with before they totally maul you to death. And as soon as you've dealt with them, he's had enough time to bring the Gorgons and that Minotaur block up to basically tidy up anything that's left. I think the only things that might cause this a bit of trouble are anything that can fly, to duck out of the way, or anything that's capable of doing that much damage at range. But you've got 2 turns, I think, most, before
Yeah.
you're in trouble. And I'm not sure really anything is sort of set up for that. But
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think Peter's got an amazing theme here, and it's exciting to see these different themes in this much larger grouping of people that we have for this tournament than we've had in the previous two. So it's brought all sorts out of the woodwork, and this is just fabulous to see from Peter.
Yeah, I think
And
Paddy, you're the one who said that this is how you envision Beastmen playing, like a bunch
yeah,
of ravaging beasts coming out of the forest. By the way, it's magic resist 2 and -1 to hit from shooting with the Doom Bulls in the unit. So,
wow, yeah.
yeah,
I will say, brother Alex will be happy to see that many Razor Girl herds because I told him
it's his
six
redemption.
individuals was unsociable. He's gone ahead and
Yeah.
doubled it, although they're in parents. But
And
looking
by the way,
forward to
Gorgons have monster slaying blow and
and
killing
killing
blow,
blow
I believe.
double,
Yep.
yeah, and like 7 attacks or something. It's nuts if you get them there. Richard running High Elves. He's running one Lothern Skycutter, a Prince on that one, a Mage on another one, level 2, both with the Bolt Thrower. Noble on a Sun Dragon, 32 Sea Guard, 5 Sword Masters, 2 Great Eagles, and 2 more Skycutters, both with Bolt Throwers. This I think is a really cool list, even though I don't know, when you utter the word dragon, people get a chill down their spine, but it's a sun dragon. Everybody chill
Sun
out.
Dragon. Yep.
Um, Sky cutters look hectic. If they're the real sky cutters in particular, they look even better. I think the bolt thrower is underrated. I think it allows you to kind of sit back because the power of the sky cutter is the charge. I think it's the only heavy chariot with swift stride, unless someone can prove me wrong. But they're fly 9 swift stride heavy chariots with strength 5 impact hits. I've been on the
Yep.
receiving end of them by my brother, and they're intense and great firing platforms for your wizard. So really
I
defensive
think
list, and this
I
block
think
here really adds to that.
yeah, definitely. I think he's in a lot of trouble if he goes up against Paul. But outside of that, I mean, that's a 2
1 in
plus.
30.
Yeah, that's a 2+ save. Sun Dragon, toughest 5, still very strong. It's impetuous, which is
Yeah.
important to point out. But the noble on top is weapon skill 7 because of Blood of Caledor. So I don't think it necessarily matters. That's a big behemoth with a regen save and a 2+ armor save that's going to be in your face,
And
doing
regen.
all sorts of
Regen on every character.
regen on every character.
The high elf way.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Yeah, I think maybe there's a risk of being subject to someone else's magic domination, but at the same time, I think there's enough speed in the list with Fly 9 that if he feels that he's going to be at risk of something else just blasting him, he's just going to move. And the Great Eagles we've talked about before being so good for hunting down wizards and just stopping them from casting. I think he's thought of a number of different scenarios here where he wants to be prepared for the outcomes. Good to see the High Elves back. Variation on a theme, no white sword for this list, but still, I mean, Skycutters are super strong. Great to see a dragon making it in at 300 points. Really fabulous.
I have a theory that he's been reading the Lothern Seaguard rumors
Oh
and
yes,
has been painting this up as the other arcane journal for High Elves. So, because everything's Lothern, right? Pretty much.
Yeah,
Maybe
the
the
Lothern
Sword
list.
Masters are just walking
Yeah.
by, you know?
I like the inclusion of the Swordmasters. I think they're probably the best infantry in the game. It's a shame that there's not a way of boosting either their armor save more consistently or their toughness, because we've talked about those high output, high toughness blocks of infantry being really popular at the moment. If you could do that with Swordmasters, you'd see every high elf list with a massive block of them. They are
For
so
sure.
good. Weapon skill 6, initiative 7 when they haven't charged, which puts them above practically everything. Weapon skill 6, cleaving blow, which means it's sort of the watered down version of killing blow. But all the same, they're incredible infantry, and it's great to see 5 of them. I think 5 of them will just get blasted off the board, but still good to see them around. I just wish you could make them better.
Cheeky little Razor standard as well, giving that unit Armor Bane 3, I believe,
Which is
because
yeah.
the built-in Armor Bane 1. Another elf list, though, we got next. Scott. This is a cool list. He's got an assassin with Life Taker and Manbane. I forget which one Manbane is. Is that Killing Blow or Poison?
Dark Venom's killing blow. Manbane might be reduced toughness, and I think what he's going for here is with Life Taker, it's a ranged attack. So Life Taker is the crossbow, the special weapon crossbow, and he's got Manbane on there to, if he hits you and wounds you, you then take a toughness penalty for the rest of the battle. So I think that's probably the intent with the assassin. He's going to sit, shoot you, and your big monster suddenly gets a little less big every time he wounds you.
He's also got Supreme Sorceress, Battle Magic, Logfield Lilia with Ruby Ring on a steed, so that will hide amongst the cold ones or in the Dark Riders or something of the like. 10 crossbows, 10 crossbows, 5 Dark Riders, 5 Dark Riders, Cold One Chariot, Cold One Chariot, Cold One Knights, Dark Elf Shades, Doomfire Warlocks, Repeater Bolt Thrower, and Repeater Bolt Thrower. Anything with that many cold ones is a win in my book. I love the Cold One Chariot. I think I've just got a chariot thing at the moment. I think they're cool, and Cold One ones in particular, I think are really cool. Alasdair, you're a Dark Elf player. What do you think?
Yeah. I just think, I mean, it's risky running cold ones at all with stupidity, obviously, but I don't think the cold ones are there to be aggressive. I think they're there for zoning, and I think they're there for defense to stop anything that's realistically going to charge that sheer volume of shooting. I mean, John is the master of moving. John, who's the other Dark Elf player, is the master of moving characters within units, and if this player is anything like John, then what you're going to see is that sorceress effectively teleporting between cavalry units to be wherever she needs to be on any given turn. We just have to bear in mind, obviously, the baked in, you can't move more than double your movement range in a single move. So bear that in mind when there's teleporting sorceresses around. But, you've got the magic from the Doomfires there as well to be able to choose one of the supporting spells.
Do they have demonology or battle magic?
No, it's not battle magic. I think it's dark magic or demonology. Okay. So you'll probably see summoning off that, which is challenging to get on a power level 2, but at the same time, it's still worth it. And there's just so much shooting here. So much shooting. The Dark Riders, at least one unit has fire and flee. So there's going to be one that's going to be tempting you into charging it, and then it's going to be running away, and then it's going to be rallying, and then it's going to be tempting you to charge it, doing all of the things that they've historically done. But it's just going to be trying to keep you at arm's length. I think the assassin may go within the shades, but then there's the ability to hide it at the beginning of the battle and then reveal it at the start of your I think it's the start of any particular start of turn sub phase. Might be yours and theirs. I'll have to look at the hit. But either way, I do think it's there to just make soften something up for all the rest of the shooting. But a lot of fun. I mean, it's the equivalent. It's the dark elf equivalent of your wood elf list with a touch less.
A little bit of favoritism in there, I think. Alex, you're on it. I don't know a lot about ogres. You guys play against a lot of ogres. Why don't you run us through Tom's list?
I played this last week. And yes, again, we have probably 2 out of the 3 ogre players in our little friendship circle for the country. I think Lockie and Victorian on the Dwellers Below plays ogres as well, and it's probably those 3. I don't know. There could be others, but from what I've seen. So it's a little different, but of the same flavor of Chris's list that we saw earlier, whereby this time you do have the Slaughter Master. So Chris had the Tyrant and the Butcher. Here we have the Slaughter Master, which is the level 3, and the Bruiser. The Slaughter Master has Lore Familiar, Giant Breaker, most importantly, Illusion. And what Tom, apologies, is looking for with his Biting Blade is obviously Spectral Doppelganger to get into combat with the Slaughter Master and just hit you. And then, by the way, hit you again as a big ogre as well. So the combat characters, not just the Bruiser in this list, it's the Slaughter Master if you're not careful. As well as there are other things like Crystal Column, putting up and being a royal pain in the ass, taking it away before he charges, etc. The Bruiser is a BSB on the Stonehorn with the 5-up ward save. So what's interesting about Ogres is really about whether they bring the BSB or not. I think at 2K they always do. And that's because, again, if we come down, we'll see the Iron Gut block with the Cannibal Totem being the regen. So... and as I've said a few times, if you're playing regen, you need a BSB because you're copying combat resolution wounds. Fantastic against shooting. So this has a bit more staying power when it comes to actually getting into the meat of the fight because it wants you to charge it. He's going to hit you with the Slaughter Master in the Iron Gut bus for a lot of damage. If he loses, he's probably looking at a fallback in good order at most, right? But in that unit, because he's got a rank, he's got a standard, he's close order, he's got wounds, he's got the etc. Plus the BSB reroll nearby. But again, the Stonehorn hitting you is a hard, fast-moving target. 3 Mournfang, so it's 1 less than we saw from Chris with the Bull standards reroll wounds on impact hits. Iron Blaster, and I believe there's 2 Gorges. Yeah, if you go down there. So I think Tom is a long time. War gamer. He's played many systems like we have across the place, but he's actually relatively new to Old World. I think he's had a handful of games at most. So this is his first Old World event coming into it. Fantastic painter, fantastic opponent. You'll see him on the day. And goes deep into the tactics. I know he's in with ogres for the long haul.
And I think a possible grudge in the making. I've heard whispers, but we'll see what happens there.
We will. I think just one thing I do want to point out: go and have a look at Tom's army when you're there on the day.
It's also in the 2+ Discord.
Definitely, I think he's one of the best painters. Old style, slow layering, making sure things look beautiful before he moves on anything. No slap chop for him. It's his models always look fabulous. I think he's up there as well with sort of Orc and Goblins Dave with some of the stuff that he ends up doing with his models. Worth going and just checking out for painting. And that's my unofficial plug for best painted on the day. But the list itself, Tom's a very experienced player. I think he'll get the most out of Ogres on the day. It'll be really interesting to see how he goes.
Last list, we're one list short. So this is 29 of 30. We're missing one list, but there will be 30 players there, but we just didn't receive that one, which is fine. But we've got Joshua running a Royal Clan dwarf list. Alex, you seem to be pretty across dwarves. This looks like a variant of the Darwy After Dark list, from my amateur opinion, but I'll let you go through it.
Somewhat, somewhat. First of all, another great opponent, Josh.
Mm.
Couldn't make the second tournament last time. I think he was in Japan. He was like, "Oh damn, I'm on holidays. Should I cancel the trip?" Um, Now, speaking of people like Dave and his Australian army, Josh has a very flavorful approach to his dwarves, where it's the bears that were
Yeah,
coming in.
cool.
So he's been posting photos in the chat where his, dwarf king, who's on shield bearers, is actually
Mm.
mounted on a bear.
Mm.
So it's a fantastic 3D prints. Great guy to play. But his king is a little different to what we saw with Michael. So again, great weapon because you can scribe runes onto great weapons. Full plate armor, shield bearers giving him those extra runes. Rune of Fury gives him +1 attack. Master Rune of Grommel's that 2+ armor save. Rune of Preservation is immune to multi-wound weapons and killing blow, I believe. Rune of Fortitude is +1 toughness. So this is toughness 6, lots of wounds, 6 wound, 7 wounds, 6 or 7 wounds, 2 up armor save, no ward save though. That's the only thing.
Mm.
So a little different to what Michael's going for. Anvil of Doom, fantastic to have it in there for Royal Clans, being able to bring both an Anvil and a King in the same
Mm.
list. The Rune of Shielding gives a 6 up ward, which is yeah, good. I think some people have been running the toughness 10 on, especially Dowie After Dark has been doing that, which I just love, and I'm 100% going to do if I print my dwarf army on there. Runesmith, the Master Rune of Grugny is basically the Lamasu's Beard, but in reverse. It's a 5 up ward to the unit, and then a 6 up ward bubble to people in the shooting phase. Rune of Battle for +1. Keep coming down. Double Runesmith is interesting. I think last time Josh didn't have any magic defense, so now he's bringing magic defense, somewhat. But the anvil's a level 3 technically, anyway, as a dispeller. But yeah, keep coming down. His long beards with Vanguard, which is interesting, on the Strollers rune, another rune of battle. So it's your standard kind of long beard unit, but with the Strollers rune, he's kind of giving away. He's coming at you. You're not going to
Yeah,
him.
Mm.
Interestingly, the anvil can make you double move. It's basically an
with
arcane
drilled.
balance spell, arcane urgency. Oh yeah, yeah. He loves drill and he uses it well. Quarrelers, he loves crossbows. In fact, he killed my Shaggoth with crossbows. Dwarf cart to give movement, keep coming down. But Rangers, I think are his favorite units, which you'll see in there. No war machines and no iron drakes, albeit I know that Royal Clan can't take the typical like organ guns or black powder based ones anyway. But yeah, it's a very aggressive dwarf list, I would say, compared to what we'd see before, where it can go very quickly with double move and drill
Mm.
dwarves. What's that? 24 inches, including the dwarf cart in one turn.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think based on his previous performance in the first Old Hound tournament, you're going to see the Rangers scouting in. So they're going to be close to you somewhere, rather uncomfortable with their crossbows, ready to just smash you with a round of first turn shooting. And you'll see that Longbeard block in marching column going straight up the field with the king, and touch it at your peril. The king's so super strong. It's such a great inclusion for dwarves to be able to have just one dwarf, which is just so insanely tough. Um, to field those challenges, to fight the big monsters. It's a lot of fun. The dwarf cart, obviously, adding +1 movement. That'll be another bear, by the way. The dwarf cart.
Yeah.
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it's gonna be super fun to see how he goes. And
We've
then
got
with the
we've got just quickly, we've just got a couple minutes left. So I wanted to just give a quick, I'll give you a minute each and give me a spiel on the whole tournament. Alex, what do you think of all the lists?
Great. As you said, we've got a very broad spread. Last time we had no Empire, no Dwarves. Now we've got everything but Vamps, and I'm sure when we go to the next one, it'll be great. There are some hard lists. There are some fluffy lists. I think it's going to come down to the draw, like with Josh's list. I hope he's not playing Wood Elves all day. I hope he is playing another combat army and gets to get in there and have a fight. Yeah, really looking forward to it.
Alasdair?
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm not going to get to go, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the 100th birthday party takes precedence. But no, I'm sad to be missing out. There's such a variation of the field. Um, yeah, I really look forward to seeing how those lists that we've pointed out going, this is Warhammer, see how they perform. I hope they don't have too bad a day. But it's a great environment for all of those new players coming in. It's such a friendly crowd of people.
Yeah.
We've had some really great experiences with the events there already. Of course, there's been arguments and disagreements, but at the end of the day, it's a really lovely, friendly community. It'll be a fabulous event, no matter what happens. With 30 players there, I really look forward to seeing sort of who gets the performance at the end of the day, and whether it's John with his Dark Elves. John,
My money's on
coming.
it. My money's on the
Paddy,
legacy.
if I can just add
Continue.
one
Yeah.
last thing. 30 players, for anybody who's interested in the actual rankings website, these events are great for getting your points up to it. And I think after listening to some of the podcasts around the place, we just want to stick it to the other states, right? And we just want to have that top 20 players all in Western Sydney Wargamers. So make sure you're attending, doing well.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, guys, a lot for your time over this. This hype train that we build, I think, goes a long way in building that atmosphere for the tournament. The tournament's great regardless, but the chat and everything is so lively. So, as Alistair said, it's a great group of guys that are there, and the level of play is really, really high. So, I'm really looking forward to it. Alistair, it's a shame you can't make it, but I'll be seeing you there, Alex, and brother Alex will be there as well. But yeah, thanks again, guys, and thanks to everyone that was watching, and we'll see you in about a week.
Cheers.